or backgrounds of cards for Christmas cards that vaguely look like pine trees, but are, you know, not pine tree colored. So let's get into this. We are still working on the single color gradient from part 1, where I did greens, blues, and part of pink and purple. We've still got some pinks and purples to go. So let's get this going. I should just grab another round brush that's larger, but this one's clean. There's no guarantee that a single other round brush I currently have on my palette is clean. So what did I get up to? I got up to, what did I get up to? I got up to, here. Well, if I'm not shaky, this is going to be fun. We're just going to embrace the really shaky hands, because I didn't paint at all this weekend because I was sick. So instead, we're going to paint today. It's also Canada Day. Or not Canada Day, it was Thanksgiving here. So I didn't have much time in the studio. All right, 2 trees done. We're almost through this entire it's not even a rainbow order. What palette order? I can talk. I can't, but you know. I'm just making this worse. I might have to not do trees today. We might have to choose something else to paint because my hand might just be too shaky for this. All right. Let's add a little bit more to make this a bit less lopsided. All right. I think that's as good as that gets. It's always interesting when my hand shakes this much because I don't ever know how a painting's going to turn out. Because also I could, when my hand's this shaky, just like drop a paintbrush and that's the end of a painting. And that's why that tree got larger. All right. This is not particularly good. Oh, this is bad. All right. We might do Christmas balls. Because they're slightly less, they're not really less dependent on my hand being shaky, but a shaky hand sort of matters less. Clearly this isn't working particularly well. So I'm gonna slide this out of the way. I'm gonna grab the other paper I have. We're gonna go for this. And I have thought about sort of gridding this out. We're gonna do these in 2 sizes. Oh, we're gonna do these in, I've got a little one too. Got a little circle mold. Maybe. So I have a little circle, I have a big circle, I have a medium circle that is stuck to the palette. All right. Let's clean this up. All right, color-wise, we've done a very like girly, or what I'm calling girly, color palette. We're gonna go more traditional for these ones, with our 3 circles. And so let's grab a round, another round. Let's grab that. Because the goal is to do these like glass ball-esque. And then these sheets get cut down. And I do want that white. Because like glass balls do have that like marbling. I wonder if the other side has a better circle. It might. It does. Ha! It's a much nicer circle. And really the goal is that once, I don't want to manipulate it a whole bunch once it's on the paper. I'm also going to put a drop of water there because that's a drop of paint that I don't want to set. The nice thing about doing sort of that really big bubble is that you get that movement like you'd get in glass, which is hard to fake without using a whole bunch of water. And luckily this paper handles water really well. And so I'm just making a blob of water and then I'm playing with it. Because honestly, 90% of watercolor is just playing with water. Ah, that's the wrong end. Hello. So I am painting, this is a giant panel that is, I don't actually know how big it is. 11 by 15 inches. And it gets cut down into 3.5 by 2.5 inch panels that go on the front of cards. But because these are all going to be Christmas cards that are all the same theme, and I'd be doing a bunch of them the same colorway anyways, which is this sort of like moody red purple Christmas ball, it makes sense for me to do it as one large panel that I'm going to cut down. So once I cut them down to a little bit smaller than this, actually, they're a little bit shorter, they get lines, bows, and little hooks to make them look like Christmas balls. So I am doing I've got 3 different sizes of circles. So I've got a small one that I'm using right now, I've got a medium, and then I've got a large. And for now, so these are all for Christmas because our Christmas Bazaar is on November 2nd, which seems really early. So I am, as much as I wish I was doing Halloween content this year, I decided to veto Halloween content in favor of my mental health because I didn't have enough time to churn out the cards that I'd normally do for Halloween and do the cards that I wanted to do to sell for Christmas. So instead, I am just doing Christmas cards this year. And if I have time, I might do 1 or 2 Halloween cards, but really, Christmas stuff always sells better for me. So I'm just gonna enjoy doing Christmas stuff because it's fun. Though this panel is slightly too big to have the full thing on camera. The other paper I use all fits. I love doing Halloween stuff. Like, you can do some really fun stuff for Halloween. And I wish our Christmas Bazaar was slightly later into the month. Like, I wish I had a little bit more of November. But unfortunately, I have to be done everything by the 2nd, which really means I have to be done everything by sort of the 1st. So I am just sort of doing a whole bunch of Christmas stuff, which is far easier to do now that it's October. I tried to start this in September when I found out the date of our Christmas Bazaar. It didn't go particularly well. So instead, here we are, it's October, and I am sort of finally getting into the swing of it, which is good because I've got less than 3 weeks officially. But I really like these like moody red ones. The previous page I did were like pinks and blues. I'm okay at painting. These days my channel is mostly fountain pen videos, but I love doing hand painted cards for the holidays. I just find it really fun. So I'm also, the spacing on some of these is a bit weird because I know these are going to be cut apart into panels. And I don't want to have things super close because I don't exactly know where the cut lines are going to be. But I want to sort of play with the water. Honestly, I love that one as it is. I thought I was going to throw some of the big ones in here. I don't know that I'm going to. I'm sort of vibing with just the small circles. There's something fun about it. Though I have worked on this panel in a really weird order, and I've now left myself with nowhere to put my hand. My Tintoretto has a flyaway. Which isn't really a flyaway because it's a paintbrush, but oh, this one little curly bristle. I welcome having people hang out in my lives. It's far more, I find that I'm far more productive painting things like these panels when I'm live, because if I'm just sitting in the studio by myself, I get bored. But if I'm hanging out on live, I find that I'm far more productive and get far more done. So I quite often will paint live if I've got a big project like this going on, or if I've got to tidy the studio, you'll probably find me live hanging out. Just because I enjoy being social in that way. while I'm doing something that I find boring. So it's in an over-the-desk tripod. So I'm actually not touching my phone. So you may see me bump the phone by accident when I stand up in my chair and look at this from above, just to make sure that I'm okay with all the spacing. But other than that, it just like hangs out in a tripod above my desk because it is too hard to hold my phone and do stuff at the same time. I am loving how these colors are moving. They're really moody. That being said, they've all sort of merged into one on the palette, and so it's time to re-wet. Currently it's only you, but I'm okay with that. Because I have my lives set to subscriber only commenting. So if people aren't subscribed, they can't comment. So that does cut down on the people who can comment on my lives. I really like lilac, lavender, stuff in that zone. I'm also a fan of like really pale blues. I refer to them as ballpoint blue blues. I don't like ballpoint blue blues. Like the color of ink that a ballpoint pen produces. Don't like that color of blue at all. But I really like a good pale blue. And I have some really fun ones that I have on my palette currently that we might use in the next one. I have a really fun, this is not super light, it's like a moody lime green pulled right now. Because I've got, what I'm working from right now is what I call fun colors. So all these colors granulate, which means they separate into multiple pigments and they've got some fun texture, which works really well for Christmas cards because you want that dimension and depth and sort of fun. Where's a spacer card so that I actually know what size these are being? Just my issue is the last one I made it too crowded, and this one I think everything is just too spread out. But we'll do this end, I'll fill this end, and then we'll flip it and I'll go back to the other side. Because I think that makes it easier. So maybe for the next one, I'll do shades of green. Because the thing with these Christmas baubles is that they come in all the colors. We've got a local glass studio to us, and we were just there a couple weeks ago, and she sells them in so many colors. So really, if she can make them in every color, I can paint them in every color, is my philosophy when it comes to Christmas baubles on cards. I'm not going to do, in previous ones I've done some that have gone off the page. I'm not doing that this time because I don't know where the cut lines are going to be, and I'm worried that on the previous one I'm going to have some weird lines or some weird, like, there's always going to be some part baubles. I'm worried that they're going to be really weird on a couple of them. So we're not doing any off the page this time. We're just sticking in the it's the 11 by 15. Honestly, I want paper companies just to standardize their sizing. Make my life easier. So once this panel's dry, I'll cut it down. So watercolor is a mixture. There's a couple different types. What I'm using currently is all pigment. So some are natural, some are synthetic, that have been mixed with gum arabic, which is a binder, and honey. And there can be other things that make up a binder. But everything I've pulled, except maybe 1 or 2 pans, uses honey as part of their binder. And then most brands that use honey will use something like clove oil if they're a small shop, or if they're a large brand, will use something else to inhibit mold growth. So the small brands that I use, I believe all use clove oil. And then there are also dye-based watercolors, and those all use dyes, so it's basically like liquid food coloring. And so they fade. They can be really fun to work with, though. I do enjoy working with them on occasion. And then there are also people that make watercolors out of natural pigments made from things like leaves or avocado pits, and those are really fun. They aren't light fast, so they fade in sunlight, but they are super fun to work with. And I do have some. I just don't use them on things that I know are going to be stored in the sun because they fade really fast. Where are we going? Where am I going? $11 by $15. There's no way to cut this down easily, is there? 11 by 15. 1, 2, and then I'll have a strip up that side. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Watercolor tends to be pretty forgiving, depending on the paint you're using. So everything that I'm using right now is fairly forgiving and just lets me wipe it away, sort of. But I was, before I switched to this, I was painting trees, and my hand was just a little bit too shaky for trees. And trees are less forgiving. And so I switched to something that was going to be more forgiving, which is this, where really, as long as they're pretty circular, oh, there's a mistake. As long as they're pretty circular, they're gonna look right. And anything like that. I don't. So I paint and I do fountain pen videos, and I do interviews with people in the fountain pen world. Good afternoon. All right, let's flip this around. And on occasion you do that and your paint sort of jumps. And then you make angry little cat noises. Or you make angry little noises. Thank you. I enjoy them. The casting season 3 is harder than I expected. It's not going particularly well, which has me wondering if maybe I take the... My plan was to start the new season in January. I'm wondering if I have to take a little bit of time off. From them, just because it's hard to cast them when you're not going to pen shows. And pen shows really don't start up again until the spring in earnest. Like there's Pittsburgh, but other than that, like the real big stuff doesn't start up until later in the year. So we'll see. We'll see. Something might happen in the next couple weeks, and I no longer have trouble casting it. But for now, season 4 is season 3 is becoming a pain to cast. I'm not. So LA is a bit far. I live in, actually, if a brand decides to pay for my trip, I would come to LA. But if Chicago works, because Chicago's drivable for us, which reduces the cost a little bit. Like we don't have to worry about flights. And so hopefully honestly, I don't know. I've pitched it to a couple brands, and so far I've had no takers. Once they've been quoted the actual cost numbers, so we'll see. I'd love if somebody sponsored the show, because I think people genuinely enjoy it, but it's not a cheap show production wise, because I also then need a camera person on the ground with me. So we'll see. I have a feeling the first show of the year I'll film at is Chicago, just because it's close and it's drivable and all that stuff. But if there's a pen brand you think would pay for it, feel free to let me know. Because honestly, I would love to have the show sponsored. Because I think the pen show episodes are quite a lot of fun. Basically, my approach to getting the show sponsored is that it's like, do you have a marketing budget? Fantastic. Do I have a pitch for you? So we'll see. I don't have high hopes that anyone's going to sponsor it, but we'll see. It would be nice. Yeah, it would be nice. It would even if somebody wanted to sponsor Chicago next year, that would be nice. So we'll see. But for now, I need to cast season 3 from home because it's not going particularly well. I think we're coming to the end of the pen show season, and I think people are tired. We're also coming into the holidays. Like it's been Canadian Thanksgiving. It's going to be American Thanksgiving. It's going to be Fountain Pen Day. We're heading into the last couple pen shows of the year, and I think everyone's just sort of tired. And then Christmas and Hanukkah, and like no one wants to think about being on camera anymore. And so trying to cast a show where I'm like, hey, I need this filmed by like middle of December. Also, I know that like everyone's busy in December. So, does this work for your schedule at all? The answer is like it works for no one's schedule. So we'll see what happens there. Because genuinely, I really like the show. Do Fountain Pen World talent reps exist? If so, I am in need. There's some fun videos coming out this week, though, fountain pen wise, because there are a few new releases this week in the pen world. And Navilar and Goldspot released something new for Fountain Pen Day last week, which I did not receive, but Julia got, and it looks so much fun. True. You know, all those marketing agencies are missing out by not catering to fountain pen people. The people they really need to cater to are all the fountain pen people that yeah. I like these ones. They've got some nice moodiness to them. And I've only smudged a single row. I think the next ones we're going to do greens. These are just fun. How many videos do I have coming out this week? I had one today. I had one yesterday. One tomorrow. I have one Thursday. I have 2 Friday. I have a Saturday. 6 plus lives. Plus some other fun stuff because Thursday's video is not just a long form video. Because that would be boring. Because no one wants to just see something new in a long form. All right, we're shortly going to call this sheet. All right, send me that list over on Instagram. You've got my Instagram. We've got a DM thread. When I say that I'm having trouble casting, I mean like currently I've got I think I've got 3 maybes. And that's it. So I will take any and all names of people you'd love to see next season, and I will start to chase people in a bit more earnest. Though Vincenzo is on my list, because he was already on my list, and then I got a text on Sunday, I believe, from a friend who went, "You're in the fountain pen therapy recap video of favorite fountain pen things of the week." I think that's what it's called. Which sort of felt like I'd made it in the pen world, honestly. I made it into the fountain pen therapy weekly recap video, and I was like, oh. It had never occurred to me that, like, I could actually make it into this video, and I made it into this video. Ooh, it was fun. But it was about my Estabrook Esty and the video I did on it. So if you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend giving it a watch. It was so, we were at Thanksgiving when I got the text that I'd made it into the recap video. But she very kindly included a timestamp when she texted me. She went, "You're in the recap video, you're at this time. Oh, and happy Thanksgiving." And so I ducked out of Thanksgiving into the office at my aunt and uncle's house to see what he said, because Marina did not tell me what Vincenzo said. She just went, "You're in the recap video." And so I had to go and figure out what was said, but it was lovely. But it did very much feel like, oh, I've made it as a pen person now. Do I want to put one here? Or do I want to just leave it? I might just leave it, because it's going to get cut. And I want to be able to put those wherever they need to go. So let's put this on the floor so it can dry. And the next color palette we're going to do is greens. But I do like that smaller size. I've now done some in the smaller size and some in the larger size. I think the smaller size is just more fun. So we're going to continue with the smaller size. Yes, he is a very happy man lately. Which, yeah. I sort of couldn't believe I'd made it into the weekly recap video for the pen world. And so it was one of those, like, I knew Marina wouldn't lie to me about something like that, but, like, I also needed to see it with my own eyes. Where I needed to just, like, see it and go, oh yeah, no, I actually made it into this video. So. All right, next one, we're gonna do greens. I realized that I've got a whole line of green trees. I'm leaning towards this, and this, these 3, and maybe this one. Those are what I'm going to choose. Ah, I forgot my Tintoretto came apart. I got very scared for a second. All right. I'm going to work from this bottom edge up. Just because I can. That is, if you don't already know who they are. All right. I like this green color scheme. I don't like how big these pieces of paper are, but I like the color scheme. Sure, go for it. I've done it with fountain pen ink. To be fair, it's a lot more fun with fountain pen ink. There's a big thing with playing with timing and making sure that you don't let it dry too much. It's really fun with fountain pen ink. In this case, I'm just doing it with watercolors because fountain pen inks tend to fade pretty quickly in light, and I want these to last on people's fireplace mantles because they're Christmas cards. Like, they're not going to be out all year round, but I do want them to last being out in direct sunlight for an extended period of time. And so everything that I've chosen lasts for, I think everything lasts for a minimum of 3 months in direct sunlight without fading, which for Christmas cards, it's going to be pretty unusual for them to be in direct sunlight for 3 months straight, 24/7. So I am happy with those choices. And I'm also just like playing with more water than normal, just to sort of bubble them so that you get those swirls. So I really like those swirls, but they're not easy to do without having a whole bunch of water in play. Oh, these pages are so big. I also just want to make sure like I've got clean water on my brush all the time. Because like having those sections that are like a little bit of a pop of white are really cool. Like they bring a different look to it, which you get in those glass balls where you've got like a part that's the clear glass. So I'm trying to mimic that by having the white parts. So I've used it. I keep forgetting to test it, like actually test it. Currently I'm using it on some more elaborate Christmas gift tags so that none of their glitter moves. I've used the UV sealant, and that works really well. But I've used it, like it works well enough where it like lasts, but I don't think I've got any that I've put in windows for months and months and months with the UV sealant on it. Theoretically, Krylon doesn't change color. Some UV sealants will. Krylon's not supposed to. So Krylon is always my top pick for a UV sealant, just because it doesn't change color. And I just prefer it to other sealants on the market. The really important thing is making sure you touch the edge all the way around. Because if you don't touch those lines, you're not going to get any of like the honestly, I need to just stop being lazy about it, because I have an open container of the sealant, and I've got a fountain pen piece. So I dropped my glasses off my face. I have a piece that I could test and spray when I spray the next set of really sparkly gift tags that have hollow on them that I just don't want to flake off. That is my biggest pet peeve when it comes to gift tags. Sparkly store-bought ones is like they shed glitter, and so I Krylon mine so that they don't shed. But honestly, I just need to, paper was wet there. I'd say, why didn't you move it over 8 inches? Moment. All right. We'll see if I remember to spray the page. Really, it shouldn't be as difficult as I'm making it out to be. I just like keep forgetting to do it. I just like get distracted by other projects like this and forget. Oh, big pet peeve. Glitter flaking off store-bought sparkly gift tags. So I spray all mine so that isn't an issue. Which does add a couple days to the process, because Krylon on paper takes, say Krylon on paper probably takes longer to fully dry than other stuff that I spray with it. Like it sort of stays wet. Thank you. I like the greens too. I might do 2 sheets of the green. I'm really enjoying the greens. I think like they've got the right movement for the glass balls. And I think when I use, my plan was to do them with gold, but I've also got black hollow. And I might do black hollow. I think black hollow would really pop. So we'll see. I think we're still, my plan is to make blanks. What week is this? This is the week of the 19th. isn't it? So if so script is end of next week. So by the end of next week, or by middle of next week, I want to be cutting them down. Because I want to know estimates of how many I have. So like middle of next week, I want to be cutting things down. Which seems reasonable. Like saying it out loud. We'll see if it happens. Because these are all card panels. But I feel like if I'm cutting these down by like the middle of next week, then I've got a pretty good estimate of what I've got. And then I've still got a week if there are more that I want to make. That seems reasonable. And if I need to order more card blanks. Good to know that ads still play on verticals, because I was not sure about that. But I wasn't going to not... When YouTube gives you the option to turn on ads so that you can make even a tiny bit of money, I'm not going to say no to that, because even a little bit of revenue is something. Because Instagram in Canada pays nothing. So even though currently my Instagram view-wise is doing quite well, Instagram in Canada pays nothing. So my only, and if I was on TikTok, neither does TikTok. So my only option for revenue is YouTube as a creator. So I appreciate when people watch ads, because it helps quite a lot, actually. July, August, September's ad money is going to buying paper. And paintbrushes, because I need both. I need paper for fountain pen videos, and a couple of my paintbrushes are dying, and so my 3 months of ad revenue is going towards buying paper and paintbrushes. We're definitely going to do a second page of these green ones. I think the green ones look really good. I've got a whole bunch of cookie cutters, so I might, part of me wants to do this with stars. I think this would look really cool with stars. Brush. These green ones look so awesome. So much like the other page, I'm not I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need some space filler ones. But I want, because this page is being cut down, I want to leave some space just so that I don't end up with some super awkward lines. I do not have a Daiso near me. I think there's only one in Canada, I want to say. And I think it's out in Vancouver, which is I think Vancouver's a 6-hour flight from Toronto. So what I'm going to end up buying is just more Traveler's notebook paper. Mostly because they're also what I use day to day. But they are not cheap. So. They're one of those expenses that sort of add up as paper. Surprisingly, when you get sent sponsorship pens, no one sends paper. People send really nice pens, but nobody seems to send paper. Oh, that one was so nice. It was so sad. It was so nice. I love this screen. Such a pretty green. We're definitely going to do a second page of these greens. I think they look very moody. I think they've got some nice blends. And I think they're what I want. All right. Let's keep going. All right. Okay. I did not. Oh, yeah, I didn't know we had mini Daiso stores in Toronto. I'm gonna have to go and check some out because I'm always on the hunt for paper. Currently, I'm using, this is Fabriano 25% cotton, which I find works better for doing something like this where I'm stamping and then wanting the paint to move. 100% cotton, the paint sinks in too much. But I'm always on the hunt for paper. Honestly, paper is probably my largest studio expense because I use it both in video work, but I also use it in just like furthering my skills work, and then I also use it in things like this where I'm doing something for something I'm selling. I love this one. I can't quite figure out how I got that one, but I do love it. We're almost done this sheet. And then we'll do another sheet of green ones because I do really like them. Ooh. The funny thing is I have probably 95 sheets of Tomoe River paper. The issue is that with the brain injury, I forget that my page is wet. And I have used a couple of sheets of it, but I keep forgetting the page is wet, and then I wipe my hand through what I've just written, and it's just more frustrating to use than it's worth. And so I just have this pack of Tomoe River paper chilling because I don't like it and Mom doesn't like it. So at some point that's going to need to find a new home, but for now I do have paper. It's just not paper that I can really use. But I do love, there's just something about a paint and water move that makes my brain so happy. But we're also almost done this sheet. Okay. Yeah, I really like the Midori MD paper because it dries fairly quickly. And so it means that I don't smudge my page super often. And I know lots of people don't like it because of how fast it dries. For me, fast drying is an asset. So really what I should do is just buy a bigger thing of MD paper. I just like it in the Traveler's Notebook size because they're what I use daily. Like if I really wanted to, I could cut the MG paper down myself and staple it, but that seems like a lot of work. And so instead, I'm just, continuing to buy the tiny MD traveler's notebooks. Which are very small, and I think between $5 and $7, depending on where I buy them. So yeah, stuff does sheen a bit on MD, and shimmer shows up really well, but for me it's about how long it takes to dry, because I don't want to smudge a page. I will say that things like noodlers still take forever to dry on MD paper, as I learned at the Chicago Pen Show this year. Noodlers still probably took like 10 minutes to fully dry on MD paper. We're totally doing another sheet of greens. It's just too fun not to. There's something about like just how the green moves in the water. I wish. Even like copier paper is so expensive here. But I think if I go back to using copier paper in my videos, people will get angry. Because I've finally switched to using slightly nicer paper in my fountain pen videos. Though people still ask me why I'm not using Tomoe River and stuff like that. And it's like, well, I don't like it. And I do like the Rhodia paper. I've never used the Rhodia paper with fountain pens. I've grown up in a Rhodia paper household, but I've grown up in a Rhodia paper household for like we've always used Rhodia paper as board game scorecards. So I've never used Rhodia paper with fountain pens. All right. I do have the Muji paper actually. Somewhere. I did not like they have cards that look like they're cola ring dippers. And when it seemed like cola ring dippers were going to get discontinued in Canada, I did buy them. And they do not work well as cola ring dippers. I do have a video on that. But I do have the Midori paper, not the Midori, the Muji paper. All right, we're going to leave this one. And we're going to do another one in greens because I think it's fun. I especially love this one. But we need so many card fronts that I think I can do another sheet of green, no problem. And then I think we'll do one in blues and turquoises. I wonder where that thing of Muji paper is. Question for later. They are. There's just something fun about them, honestly. The funny thing is, I have so many granulating greens because I hate mixing for greens. But I do love, so I think I can do, once I finish painting this, I'll do some math. Let's do some math. Do I not have a pen? I'm a fountain pen channel. How do I not have a pen? All right. So we're gonna call it, this is an 11x15. The cards are 2.5x 3.5. So it would be becoming 10x. So 4 with an inch at the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 rows? I think so. So 6 rows. And becoming 10 by 14. That math seems wrong. That math is wrong. All right. So I got 1, 2. 1 second. 1, 2, 3.5. These are 11. These are 11. Oh. Three and a half. I'm going to be a half an inch short. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then, all right. So 12 plus. Oh, my. And this is why I don't cut down my own pages. Okay. All right. So so 18 on these, and then on the other ones, which are 10x 15, because nobody can make a standard size of paper, we have 12 plus I think I got 4 out of it was my math, but is it 4? 3.5. Yeah, I think it's 4. So out of these sheets, you get 18. Out of the sheets that I'm doing trees on, you get 12 because you don't get the 4 that go this way. Unfortunately, I don't think. Because that panel can only go one direction. It can only go sideways. And then out of the panel that I've done the bigger balls on, you'll get 16. All right, there we go. Let's keep going. That is fine. It took me far too much time to do the math, remembering that, these are round balls and that the panels can go either way because I have not done the lines until I cut them. But honestly, I was going, they can only go one direction. And it was like, no, honestly, the trees can only go one direction, but these can go any direction. So, math. All right. Sure. Sure, I didn't totally abandon trees because my hands were so shaky that I couldn't keep the flat brush steady. And so we switched to Christmas balls. There's a lower screw up rate with them. Okay. I just got what you meant. I just got what you meant. Yeah, no, I could see that from like overhead. No, these are becoming Christmas balls. So they'll get once I cut down the panels and I know the direction of the cards, whichever way they look best, they'll get the little hooks and they'll get strings and everything. I will accept that it looks like a really good site plan. I think that might be my favorite comment. Oh. Oh. I adore that. No, so I was doing pine trees for Christmas cards, and then my hand was just a bit too shaky, and so I would do landscape renderings. I am one of those people that like, as long as I get to paint or use fountain pens and be creative with what I do, you know, I'm pretty happy. All right. Once I've done this one, I might put on my sweater. We had our first snow today, and so it's like actually cold now. And the sun is going down and my studio is officially cold. We are. So we have a wood fireplace. And I do have baseboard heating in the studio. I just keep forgetting to turn it on, and then I freeze and go, why am I so cold? And then I go, oh, it's because you don't have the heat turned on in the studio. So really, at some point, I just need to like actually turn on the heat, because the rest of the house is furnace, but this one area of the house is baseboard. But we are still allowed to have a wood fireplace, and so we do have a wood fireplace, and it's lovely. The next one is definitely going to be blues. So we've done one in like the pinks. This is going to be our second sheet of greens. We haven't done a blues one yet. I'm also very much a winter person. Like in the summer, I'll be in the studio until like 10 p.m. plus. I like that in the winter, I like in a way that in the winter my studio hours are forced to be shorter because we just have less sunlight, and it's less pleasant to be in the studio without natural sunlight or any natural light. And so I'm taking advantage of the natural light and sort of keeping more normal working hours, because I know that my work hours for the rest of the year don't tend to be as normal. I am so non-linear. With the brain injury, I really struggled to differentiate between something that happened yesterday and something that happened months ago. I might say that something happened a couple days ago and actually it was like 6 weeks ago. And that's not me trying to be annoying. That's because in my head, it actually happened yesterday. And I have no concept of the fact that it was actually several weeks ago. So I am not great at linear storytelling because my brain just bounces around too much. But my hand is becoming slightly less shaky, and so we might go back to trees. What time is it? It's 5:43. I've got about an hour 15 until I have to get ready for dinner. So let's see what I can get done in the next little bit. I love these. Ah. I do love, there's just something about how color moves. I'm such a fan of the movement of paint and color. There's just something about how paint moves. Oh, I hope they survived all of the storms well. And thanks for hanging out. It was lovely. I will see you next time. All right. All right. I do love the movement of water. We're like halfway done this sheet. I think I need to add green again to the palette. They've sort of all become one. All right. I always wonder if this will be my first stream where I get a super chat. It's never happened yet, but I do always wonder. For now, though, my only source of income is ad revenue. Oh, we're almost done this sheet. sheet of blues. Then we might be done for the night because we'll have done 4 panels, which will become 18 cards a panel, which isn't bad. We've already finished 2. We're almost done this one. So progress is being made. I think we're making good progress, actually. Totally did that. so close to being done this sheet. I'm going to switch to blues. Because they're fun. So close to being done with green. And next up will be blues. I'm feeling blues and teals for the next set. Because now we've done like reds, we've done pinks and purples. We've done pinks and purples big. We're going to do pinks and purples little at some point. All right. These are the last two on this sheet, I think. Like when I cut it out, I'll space fill wherever I need to. But for this, I think these are the last two. All right, there we go. Greens are done. Which blues do I want? Which blues, which blues, which blues? Want that? Want that? Want that? Want that? Cool. So, to start with, let's clean this. Let's clean this up. The funny thing is, I've got no shortage of palettes. I could just go and grab a new palette. It seems like a lot of effort. Instead, we're just going to wipe the green out of this the best we can. And just to call it good. All right. Clean palette. Which ones did I like? I liked all of these colors that are dry, dry, dry. So let's grab that. Not that. Grab this. All right. There we go. I only have 2 sheets of this paper left. I think this is going to be our last one tonight. This will be our, I guess I started with trees. issue is that lots of these fun blues include phthalo, which sets immediately after touching paper. Phthalo is just one of those colors that sets. Not that one. Feels so too early to be churning out this much Christmas stuff. That is the downside of working to other people's schedules. And one local events are. I like these blue ones too. I think there'll be a second sheet of these blue ones. really like these blue ones. I think my issue with the pink and purple ones is that I had too many shades going on. Because honestly, all the pinks and purples that I chose really, really granulate themselves. And I don't think I needed as many other mixes going on as I had. I probably could have done just the color. So I might have to see if I can get another pad of this paper also, because it works so much better. I don't think it's on Amazon, and Michael's doesn't carry it, so it's a bit more tricky to get. Well, it's always fun when a smudge tells you where something's going to be. This one's a bit less organized than normal. It's a bit more just like painting wherever. So I throw my paintbrushes off my desk. Oh, I'm starting to get bored. Stay on task, stay on task, stay on task. It's always interesting to see what point I get bored. Tends to always be on the last sheet when I'm like in the home stretch of being done. I love these blues. They've got such fun dimension to them. That is one of my favorite things about watercolors, sort of getting to play like this, which is not how the traditionalists play with paint. I would say most traditionalists would probably be angry at me calling it playing with paint. But honestly, like, I'm painting spheres that I'm making look like the movement of glass balls. I'm trying to replicate moving glass with. I don't know that there's a way to say that without saying, you know, playing with paint. So we're about halfway done. But I really like this. Like, I might leave these colors on my palette for tomorrow. So I have a feeling I'm going to do another panel in these colors tomorrow, after I've finished the trees tomorrow. Because there's something fun about how these ones are moving. That is another fun thing about paint, is that different pigments move in different ways. You don't always know how they're going to move. And in this case, I'm just making sure that I've got lots of clean water. I adore these. Adore these. I think these are going to look so much fun when they're cut down into card panels. I love the movement of paint. Honestly, there are very few things that make me as happy as watching paint move in water. And there's going to be a couple places that like the spacing looks awkward. I'm just going to leave them because I'm going to throw in, once they're cut, things are going to get additions in a couple places, and I already know that. So I would rather just leave awkward space like here until I know exactly where things are being cut. We are so close to being done. If I'm being really daring, I'll go back to trees. So I've got much more motor control in my hand right now. All right, I think we've got 2 more. All right. Back to the block for trees. All right, we're keeping that blue palette because I like that mix, but we're grabbing this. Just realized that none of these colors are still wet. All right. We're here. Why is that there? Apparently I decided it was more brown than pink. But I don't know if I believe that. It seems very pink here. All right. Well, I put that in the wrong spot in this palette, but whatever. That looks better. Tuck this here. All right. How do I want to do this now? Sure. All right. I don't know what's going on with that tree. I'm going to try a different brush. Okay. I do actually like that look better, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because I've done so many trees at this point. But we've got a couple left. I think we're only going to do one more. I'm going to do one here and we're going to call it for tonight. Mostly because I'm tired. You know what? This tree's been through a storm. It's got some personality. It's lived through a few big windstorms. Really, everything can have crazy backstory if you try hard enough. One more tree in this row and then we're done. Or in this grouping and then we're done. Oh, it's my favorite blue. It's my favorite blue. All right. We're going to call trees there for tonight. So we've done 4 Christmas ball panels and a thing of trees, or 2 rows of trees. All right. Progress. Slow progress, but progress. So, thanks for watching.